From Central Indiana's #1 news source, this is Fox 59 Tonight.
Hey, good evening. Thanks for joining us here on Fox 59 Tonight. I'm Cameron Little. Thank you for downloading our new smart TV app on Roku, Fire TV, Apple TV, and now on your Samsung TV. And if you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you hit the subscribe button so you never miss any of the conversations that we have every night at 8 o'clock here on Fox 59 Tonight. We'll be talking about dads, fatherhood, education, and the importance of how it all comes together. There's an event happening tonight here in Indianapolis that you can make your way to be part of that conversation. But even if you watch this after tonight or you come across it later, there's a way to stay involved in this conversation and maybe even have a conversation at your school to talk about the importance of dads and education. In our studio tonight are two gentlemen who are leading tonight's conversation and want to continue that conversation with you. We have Mr. Keelan Mark Sr., who's a principal speaker and father, and brother Thomas X. Williams, an educator and author. Gentlemen, thanks for coming on. Good to talk to you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us, sir.
Absolutely. I heard you guys earlier this week, and I said we definitely got to have this conversation because there's a lot that can be talked about, both in fatherhood and education, and where those roads come together. And so I want to first start by talking about the event that you are having tonight. It is the Back to School Men's Event, getting men mentally prepared to support our students. It is August 29th at the AMP. That's at 1220 Waterway Boulevard in Indianapolis. 6:30 tonight after you get off work, after the kids get off from school, swing over to the AMP for this conversation. Gentlemen, how did you decide that this was a conversation that needed to be had?
Well, it started even before I think I even met Brother Thomas. He used to be one of my teachers at a school that I was principal at. And one day, Cameron, I came home. My son was sitting on the couch with an ice pack on his nose. And I said, "Hey, what happened to you?" He was probably in the fifth or sixth grade. And he said, at recess, we were playing kickball, and I took a ball to the face, and my nose was busted. And so I said, "Are you okay?" He was. And I asked my wife, "How come no one called me? I'm available. I can go up to my son's school. I have the schedule flexibility, but no one called me." And from that point on, it really started to kind of change my thinking from a school side of why do we not include and call dads, when something's going on with their son or daughter, grandson or granddaughter. And so fast forward, I reached out to Brother Thomas for this summer and said, "Hey, we want to begin to start that conversation." So we did a session at Indiana Black Expo's education conference on how fathers can change your school culture, and really spoke with superintendents, principals, educators from IU, Purdue, as far as Texas, and talking about how schools need to open doors to welcoming, more dads and men in to the classroom, to the hallways, and their kids' education. And then from that, this event this evening, which is free, and it's a back to school event for men. And our main focus is to do two things. We want to talk to men about who do you need to know at the school and what you need to know. And so we'll cover topics from working with the principal, building a relationship with the many moving parts and the people that are within the school. And Brother Thomas will share about the things that you need to know and the school needs to know about your student. And so we're excited. It's a tough conversation, but it's a conversation that's challenging and needs to be had. And so we're looking forward to it.
So, Brother Thomas, when you get brought into this conversation, uh, how did you respond in saying, yes, let's do this?
Uh, well, first, before I even answer that question, I want to thank you for having us on
Absolutely.
because in this climate that we're living in, fathers are going to have to uh, take our position as being the backbone of the community,
Hmm.
right? And as a backbone helps straighten out the community, we're going to have to straighten out some of the ills and the some of the situations that are occurring within the educational system that is leaving us far behind from what we need to be.
Mhm.
And so when I was approached with the situation, I mean uh, with the actual subject matter, I was elated based on the fact that I'm a father
Mhm.
of 5 children. Do you hear me?
Mhm.
5 children.
You got your hands
I got
full.
my hands full. And knowing Mr. Mark from the education system, we used to, as he just alluded to, I was a teacher at one of his schools. We seen things sort of similar, right? And we have children he has a son and I have a son who are the same age,
Mhm.
have a similar journey. And so the way that I look at his son is the exact same way that I would look at my son.
Mhm.
And so being a uncle, I want to see the best for his son. And hopefully as an uncle, he wants to see the best for my son. And so being that we want to see the best for each other's children, I thought that taking on this subject matter was fitting to see the best out of other children as well by getting their fathers involved.
So tonight you're going to have a conversation here in Indianapolis. This is the men's back to school event. That's from 6:30 until 8. What is the topic of conversation tonight?
So it'll start at 6:30 with a meet and greet, and Cameron, that's part of the conversation.
Mhm.
I have about, I said maybe 5 or 6 men that I can call on that help me with my son. I say this often now. I am 7 days into being a parent, a father of a college student, and that's all the experience that I have. And so I tap into the men in my life, my father-in-law, brother-in-laws, my stepdad, other men who have more experience because we need to get to know, one another and know how can, like Brother Thomas said, we can help each other, with our sons or daughters. And so from 6:30 to about 7 o'clock, it will be a meet and greet, and we just want men to fellowship, talk, and connect. And then we're going to get into topics on how do you build a relationship with the principal? How do you build a relationship? My son plays basketball in college, and I had to build a relationship with coaches, the athletic director. Who do you need to know at the school? And so those are things that we will share and discuss, and we want men to leave with strategies. They're going to leave with a playbook that they can take home, and it's going to give you month by month. Here's what you need to do, whether your kid is in the third grade or they're a senior in high school.
In education.
In education, we want them to leave with some strategies on how to get involved, because what we also don't want, I don't want men to be called when something happens, when, there's kid is in trouble or anything like that. I want the superintendent to know uh, who you are as a father, but also what kids you have in that particular district.
Mhm.
So I'm excited to hear that you're having this because while you have a child that is now college age, and Brother Thomas X, you've got the whole spectrum.
Yeah, right.
I'm 1 year shy of a week. I've got a 1 year old who he would be one next week. And growing up, I had my um, I had men around me who were examples, be it my father. My mom is married to my sister's father, so he was in the house with us, uncles, different things. So I saw the role um, in its various forms of what a dad is. Even still, and I help raise my sisters who are now in college, 21, 19. I've got some age on them, so I help bring
Yes,
them
sir.
up and changing diapers and all that. Um, so I was prepared more to be a dad than most guys are.
Yes, sir.
And so, but even still, what the first lesson that I got of being a father is there is no playbook.
That's right.
And there is nothing the second you get out of that hospital that says what you are supposed to do as a dad.
That is right.
You are forgotten about in the hospital. Granted, what I'm going through while she's in labor, there's nothing I can do to help you
Right,
but say,
right.
keep going, baby. Good
Yeah,
job. But they're on she's in the bed and everybody's catering to her and giving her the food. But I'm right there and you're on this couch
Come on,
that's
teach on that hard
uncomfortable.
couch now. Huh? Yeah, teach on
Yes.
that hard couch.
Nothing about this process is like, Dad, we got you too.
That's
Right.
right.
But in this conversation that I know we're going to have, Dad is the backbone
That's right.
and is supposed to be the leader, but foundationally gets no support.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, I remember when we left the hospital, they wheel you out in the wheelchair
Yep.
and they help you make sure that you understand how to put the car seat in.
That's right.
And I knew how to do that from driving school buses. I trained people to put in car seats. So I had that part. But that was it.
Yeah,
That was the only okay.
Yeah.
It was like, here's your baby.
that's right.
You're on your own.
You're on your own.
Figure it out.
So that was the first thing that I realized. And I'm like, man, at least I had a dad around, dads around, uncles around, had experience of raising, helping to raise my sisters, that I had a concept of what I was about, that I was now in charge of.
Yes, sir.
But I also thought about, what about all the people who do not have that and don't know what the heck?
That's such a great point, Brother Cameron. In the scriptures of the Bible, it says that you can tell when man has grown from death into life when he loves. Look, it doesn't say his wife, it doesn't say his mother, it doesn't even say his children. It says when he loves the brethren or brotherhood. So everything you just described is one of the most important reasons as to why men need to fellowship with one another and gather the experiences that each other have so that we can become the assistant coach
Mm-hmm.
to one another,
Mm-hmm.
so that we can become the soundboards to one another, and we can really intentionally or unintentionally become mentors of one another, because there is no playbook to being a father. However, that doesn't negate the responsibility that we have as
Mm-hmm.
fathers
Mm-hmm.
to cultivate the children that are under our authority.
Mm-hmm.
So if we take the word father, Brother Cameron, Father, and we insert the letter R in between the first A and the T, what does it become?
Farther.
Farther. Every father has a responsibility to take our children farther or further than where we are or where we have been.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not going to do that alone, because one thing I can tell the listening and viewing audience, that it's a 100% guarantee that fathers, yes, including your father, does not know everything.
Mm-hmm.
But every single father, every single dad knows something. And if we can begin to converse with one another and share experiences, share stories, provide tools to one another, then we can help strengthen the weak areas of each father and vice versa. So that's the important thing. That's one of the important things for tonight. That first 30 minutes of being there, 20 to 30 minutes, just conversing, as some people would say, networking, it
Mm-hmm.
allows us the opportunity to find out what experience, uh, what what career field
Mm-hmm.
another father is in. Because, Brother Cameron, you are in the media space. My son or my daughter may have aspirations of
Mm-hmm.
being in the media space. Maybe they want to be in front of the camera. They may want to be behind the camera. But yet I have no experience with it.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
But just because you're a brother who showed up tonight, Brother Cameron, I have a conversation with you. I begin to hear your experience in this media space. Now I can take that experience back to my child, and if I get your number or I get your card and your email, now my child has access to you, and they've never met you,
Mm-hmm.
all because their father was a part of sharing brotherhood. And so that in itself does so much in transforming or creating a new paradigm shift
Mm-hmm.
in this educational field.
And Cameron, we're taught as men, and my son says this a lot, but I can see through it. He always says, "Dad, I got it." And that's true up into a certain place, a certain extent. But we're taught to, we'll just figure it out, we will do it, which those are good skills and traits to have. But it's also equally as good to tap into the resources, the people, the family members around you that can help you. Like, I have 19 years of experience of being a parent, so I think I can help you a little bit with having, a 1 year old.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so it's important for men to, we have to get out of our own way, and we have to get past our pride and get past, picking up the phone and calling the brother Thomas or calling myself to say, hey, I really need some help with this, because ultimately, like Brother Thomas said, I want his sons to be successful in college, just like I want my son to be successful. But there's some things that I don't know how to do. But a 5 minute phone call or something like that is what we want men to begin to, take away and use for themselves to help, raise their kid.
And also, just to add on to something that Brother Mark was just stating, we're not only dealing with who you need to know, but what you need to know,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, one thing that a lot of us fathers just may not know is our child's GPA,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But yet, what the GPA can show are the habits that our children are displaying when they're outside of our presence, right? For instance, if a child has, now I'm just throwing this out, right? I'm not saying that my children have a 2.3 GPA,
Mm-hmm.
but just for instance, if a child had a 2.3 GPA, we understand that that's roughly on any grading scale a C average.
Mm-hmm.
Our children aren't average. So, what is it that you need assistance with, son or daughter?
Mm-hmm.
What habits need to be adjusted, son or daughter? It's not just not going to bed at night. It's not just viewing too much YouTube. No, what type of structure is in place? Have we learned how to compartmentalize certain things? So it's a whole lot that just knowing the GPA
Mm-hmm.
can tell a dad. And that's just one of the things.
Hmm.
So yeah, go ahead.
So you guys have been in the education space for years. Um, and I've been in it as from the side of a school bus driver for 11 years. I've driven in 3 different states, multiple cities, wealthy communities, the poorest communities, the rural city, the whole shebang. And I would bet that you guys would agree that when it comes to interaction with parents, you deal with mom 4 to 1. I can think of all the interactions I've had with parents, the most memories are moms. Very rarely do I ever remember a dad being at the bus stop or talking to a dad. When you guys is that your experience?
It
That's
is. It is. It
it
is.
is.
It
It
is.
absolutely
It
is. And
is.
for me as a school principal, that's, I'll say it's the culture of schools, but I most in most cases deal with mom.
Mm-hmm.
Teachers are saying, "Hey, I'm gonna have to call your mother."
Mm-hmm.
And the interesting thing is, I do see dad. I see dad often at halftime of the football game,
Mm-hmm.
the basketball game, the volleyball match. But a lot of my interactions are with mom and my wife, Brother Thomas' wife. They do an outstanding job,
Yes, indeed.
and working with our kids and getting them through school and doing their part. But men, that presence just needs to be there a lot more, because I want to have those academic discussions with the fathers about, if I can help put your son in the right classes to become an engineer or a chemist, like I need to know those things as a school principal. If I can help your son, he wants to play college basketball or football, your daughter wants to be a tennis player, that information I need as a school principal, and I need to hear that, because I don't get those conversations very often, and it's unfortunate. And so part of the things, that one thing I'm focusing on is really trying to push school and school leaders to change just how we do things and find more ways to open, doors for dads to, connect and come into the school.
And brother Cameron, that is something. That's a great point. However, I think that the encouragement just needs to be there, right? Because my wife and I own a childcare, Love and Light Learning Academy. It's a small plug too.
Hmm.
Love and Light
Go for
Learning Academy.
it.
And on the childcare, at the childcare level, we see fathers that are heavily involved,
Hmm.
right? It's really when children begin to matriculate or go to the next grade level that we start seeing a decline
Hmm.
in fathers. And that goes to something that Mr. Mark was just speaking of, schools being intentional on including dad, right? At the childcare level, we're intentional on including just family. But now, as the child get older, those family dynamics may or may not change. However, schools aren't necessarily as intentional as we can be
Hmm.
on making sure that, if not father, grandfather, if not grandfather, uncle, older brother, that someone of the male species is involved that can provide a level of balance in this child's academic journey. And so, just thinking of myself and my circle, right? Five of my closest friends, all of us are heavily active in our children's, not just life, however, their academics. I'm thinking of all of us have careers, and all of us are dropping our children off at school in the morning.
Hmm.
All of us are picking our children up, regardless of our hours that we have to be away from the house. We are the ones that our children see in the morning, dropping them off, having conversations, and we are the ones picking them up after school. So it's happening, but I think that it's just men just need to be more encouraged to get more involved. And that encouragement doesn't just come from us too, but the encouragement has to also come from the schools that those children are attending.
And,
Hmm.
and let me say this one intentional thing, and I noticed this with my own son, Cameron, is that now my son, he played basketball, was a pretty good player. He's been on every station in the city. He's been in the Indy Star. He's been recognized Player of the Week twice. He's had a lot of accolades as a athlete, but he's an even better student and a better human being. And schools need to take the sports model when it comes to celebrating
Hmm.
young men and young ladies within the school system
That's right.
equally as much as you celebrate them when they're on the field
That's right.
and representing the school. And so,
You know what? I heard somebody
yes,
say that it might have been Greg Merriweather when I had him on here. He was talking about how in the schools there's the banners for the athletes
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
gym,
yes,
and
sir.
Yeah.
you know exactly who's on the team. They even usually put they'll put the manager of the wrestling team
Yeah.
up
Yes.
there on the banner
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
they are just as important to make the team. But where is that for the honor roll or all the other clubs and things?
Absolutely.
Because when you bring up Brother Greg Merriweather, I want to say that he petitioned for there to be a
Yes,
valedictorian day,
valedictorian
right?
day. Yes, he
Yeah.
did.
So, that's someone putting, and shout out to Brother Greg, that's something that's someone who's putting it in motion,
Hmm.
right? Not just what needs to be done and verbalizing it, but actually engaging in some action to get it done.
Hmm.
Hmm.
And just going back to Mr. Mark's point, yes, we must not just equate academics to athletics. No, academics need to supersede athletics in our educational system,
Hmm.
because educationally, when we look globally, where we rank in education, just as Americans,
Hmm.
not our specific community, as Americans, we are way behind in education in comparison to other countries. So now, when we narrow that down to our community, the black and the brown community, the numbers get even scarier.
Hmm.
But I think that, in my humble opinion, when we as fathers, and even if you aren't a father, we as men can invert ourselves into the academic equation, the educational equation, then it begins to provide a level of balance and confidence that creates a greater trajectory than what we're looking at right now.
We'll talk here in a second about, as a father, how do you guide your child into the job of the parent is to raise the child, to make them into whatever successful adult that they want to be. So we'll talk about how to do that, but also want people to know that not only is this a part, is this a conversation happening tonight? This is an ongoing thing that you are welcoming other principals, school leaders to reach out to you guys, contact
Yes,
you
sir.
to have this continued conversation with
Yes, sir.
with the dads program.
Yes, sir.
Yes, DAD stands for dedication, athletics, academics, discipline, and sacrifice. And I love that acronym because that's what dads do at home and in the community. And we want to connect with school leaders, superintendents, to have a conversation, to give strategies, to share our experience from being fathers to being in the classroom, being a school administrator, and help them, have these, I'd say, takeaways where they can now say, hey, I can go home and next week I can find a way to connect better with, my school, my son's principal, my daughter's coach, or the athletic director. And so the dad's program, we're excited about it. We would love to work within schools to further share with the men and dads and even the extended family, those big brothers, those uncles who are still part of that student's life, and share strategies with them to help them support the school. I shared at our conference at Indiana Black Expo, there were two schools, and I believe it was Missouri, where they created a program where dads were consistently coming in and they saw discipline
Mm-hmm.
referrals drop and they saw students academically begin to excel. They even saw students who may not have had a father in their life connecting with the men that they would see on a regular basis. And so our hope is to work with just schools within the Indianapolis area, within the state. We'll help any school because we really want to see more men just get involved and show their presence within the school and school system.
Yes, sir. Brad Cameron, as my brother was talking, I'm smiling. The people on that's viewing they can see me, but then if you're just listening, you're not able to see me, but you could probably hear this smile. And I was smiling because I'm thinking as we having this conversation, anytime I'm striving to give an answer, I'm smiling. I'm striving to add some 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 uh, some life to the conversation because I remember working at Tech High School. That was my first job in education,
Mm-hmm.
and there was a young man that was using a lot of profanity.
Mm-hmm.
And so myself and another educator, she watched the way that I corrected the young man,
Mm-hmm.
and he submitted to the instruction that I gave him.
Mm-hmm.
But we start having a conversation on why this was his primary choice of language.
Mm-hmm.
And she was much older than me, and she said something to me that I never forget. She said, "Brother Thomas, children pick up on energy and not necessarily the instruction." She said, the reason he's using that language, when he hears that language, imagine the emotion that's going into that language.
Mm-hmm.
And then imagine the emotion that is going into the classroom when his teacher is teaching. So when we having a conversation on something that's so important and serious, the energy doesn't necessarily have to be, like the clear eyes
Mm-hmm.
guy.
Mm-hmm.
Clear eyes. But but yet, if we was talking stats of a basketball game,
Mm-hmm.
we into it.
Mm-hmm.
Now Kobe's the best player
Mm-hmm.
because Kobe. So we have a lot of emotion that goes into it. So when we just thinking about fathers getting an education or fathers increasing our knowledge on where our children are academically,
Mm-hmm.
there's a level of emotion that has to be infused in the conversation and the message for fathers to even want to get involved. Because whenever a concert is being promoted, there's one I don't know. I'm not media trained,
Mm-hmm.
but there's a brother who I remember his voice advertising concerts, and he would always say, "Tonight,
DJ
DJ
Gino.
Gino." It was the emotion that went
Mhm.
into it that made you gravitate to, man, I
I
really
might
wasn't
go
after
there.
going to the concert, but I want to see them.
Mm-hmm.
So we just striving to do the same thing as it relates to coming to tonight's event, we're taking on such a heavy subject that's so important to our community. But we want to do it with some fun and love. So come on out tonight. It's not just gonna be so serious
Mm-hmm.
that you're just gonna get bored. Nah, it's gonna be a lot of dialogue. We striving to interact with fathers. We want you to leave this event tonight with tools that you can use and being excited to go out and use those tools immediately, because school has been in for a lot of
A couple of
people
weeks.
Yeah, for a month.
almost a
Right.
month.
Mm-hmm.
So we really behind the 8 ball.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that we can make some progress if we're intentional with applying what we're gonna leave with tonight. And if you invite us to your school, you won't be disappointed with this DADS program that we're willing to bring to your school to increase the engagement through your staff, through the community, or your admin. So, yes,
You know, when you talk about energy and the energy that a man brings into a situation, especially around children, I see that. You know, when I go into the schools, and trust me, there are some, as y'all know, some tough women out there,
Yeah.
some tough women principals and teachers that I'm not about to mess with her at
That's right.
all because she will snatch me up.
That's right.
But there was also something else about a um, a man who was also the disciplinarian, the stern voice in the room, and to back that principal up,
Yes,
back
sir.
that
Yes.
teacher up. There is just a different energy, and you know I even see it. It happens, at least for me. It feels like the that we've all had that male student who is difficult,
Yes.
Oh, for sure.
and you can talk to him differently
Mm,
um, than really anybody else can.
Mhm.
Um, just some way there's something that's just natural about it that they accept. You know, they might, and when I say accept, they don't mean they're going to change what they're doing right away, but they did hear you.
But they looking for it.
Yes.
Yeah, they look. That's what they're looking for.
Yes.
Even
Mhm.
without expressing it verbally, they're yearning for that version of a man that you're giving them,
Mm-hmm.
or that we're giving them, right? And the reason that we can talk to them like that, and they gravitate to it, because their nature is calling out for it, right? Sometimes when we think of those difficult students, and whenever I would give a PD, right? PD, for those who don't know, professional development. Whenever I would lead a professional development, I would get agitated, Brother Cameron, whenever every time the example given for a difficult student was a young male.
Mm-hmm.
Cause man, I've run into some difficult young
Oh, yeah.
females too, Brother
Yes.
Oh,
Cameron.
yeah.
Oh man. And they're looking for a version of us as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so whenever with the event tonight and our dad's events, these events aren't just catered to parents who have sons.
Mm-hmm.
No, these are to parents
Mm-hmm.
who have children,
Mm-hmm.
schools who have children within the school building. Because just like that difficult young male needs that father, that man in their life to provide a certain guidance, a certain structure, that young female is desiring the same thing, maybe using a different tone,
Mm-hmm.
maybe using different mannerisms. Yet, he and she are looking for that man to be involved in their academic journey.
Mm-hmm. And I'd say this, Cameron, they're looking for that connection
Mm-hmm.
and that different voice. And sometimes, and students tell me, Mr. Mark, you sound just like my dad. You sound just like my granddad.
Mhm.
Now, I'm not that old, but I get it. But they're looking for that other voice. And that's how I've had the same experience as Brother Thomas. I would tell a teacher, just send him to me. And I would sit the young man down, hear them out, sit the young lady down, hear them out, and give that guidance that I know their mother or father would give them. And so schools have to start valuing the presence of men, valuing the presence of fathers, not just in the sports world, but bringing dads in to talk about school policy, talk about, how do we keep our school community safe? When I dropped my son off at school when he was growing up, I wanted to make sure that place was a safe space for him. And the same for my nieces and nephews. And so it's up to schools to be, as Brother Thomas said, a lot more intentional. And how do we pull dads in who want to be involved? They just don't know how to be involved
Mhm.
or, what avenue to take. And we get into a lot of things with our dad's program. I show, fathers, how do you email the principal? How do you email a teacher to get some results that you want?
Mhm.
It is good to, have that conversation, but sometimes you have to send an email and be clear on expectations and those type things. And so we give a lot of really good strategies that can be applied pretty immediately.
And see something like that, a father could just chap that in Chat GPT.
Well, that,
Yes.
but
Yeah.
also, yeah, you got Chat GPT, but the
Yeah.
other the other portion is show up to the back to school night
That's
Yes.
right.
and meet that teacher.
Yeah.
So when you send that email,
Yeah.
I got a name with the face.
And
Absolutely.
that's something that we deal with too, Brother Cameron, is eliminating the excuse of not having time,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because hypothetically, let's say I'm unable to show up to the parent teacher meeting,
Mm-hmm.
the back to school event. That email can ask that teacher, do you have a few minutes
Got 5 minutes
for
for
a
me.
Zoom
Yes.
call?
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Is it possible that I can come in for, as you just alluded to, Brother Cameron, 5 minutes before class begins?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't take a long conversation,
Mm-hmm.
just a quick introduction.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, I'm Mr. So and so.
Mm-hmm.
I just want you to have a face
Mm-hmm.
to recognize that goes with the name and the
Mm-hmm.
child.
Mm-hmm.
If there is any, not just issues, if there is anything
Mm-hmm.
that I may need to be aware of, please reach out.
Mm-hmm.
And will there be anything? Emphatically, yes.
Yes.
Because that anything doesn't have to be a behavior issue. That anything could be your son or daughter
Mm-hmm.
aced the test this week.
Correct.
Your son or daughter raised their hand to answer every question this week.
Mm-hmm.
Your son or daughter corrected me when I was incorrect.
Mm-hmm.
So there are many reasons that, yes, as a father, I need to be contacted. Not only if my son or daughter has had a behavior
Mm-hmm.
issue
Mhm.
or my son or daughter hurt themselves,
Mm-hmm.
right? No, us being involved is an opportunity for us to be proactive.
Mm-hmm.
Us getting called, that's the opportunity for us to be reactive.
You know, when we've had in my 11 years of working with children and parents, the parents who just did that showed their face. I didn't have to see you every day.
Yeah.
But at the start of the year, if you need anything, call me.
Yeah.
If you have any problems, call me.
Mhm.
I knew that when I then said, do I need to call your mom or do I need to call your dad? That they knew
Yeah.
that the call would get answered if I did it. Because mom already established all she got to do is
That's right.
call.
It's called.
Yeah.
Dad already said, I'll pull up if you need me to.
Yeah.
And I've had those, actually I had this one who was a grandparent um, of her granddaughter. And it was a great example of somebody who followed through because she said, if you ever have anything, you let me know. So there was one day, this girl, she would not, she kept bringing drinks on the bus.
Mhm.
And I pride myself with having one of the cleanest buses out there.
There you go.
Yeah.
But she sat all the way in the back. And you know what she did? She kept spilling this drink in the very back seat. And I'm driving, and
It comes up.
yes,
Yeah, it comes
this
up.
Coca-Cola sticky stuff is all over my bus. It's running down the stairs. So I said, look, now I done told you a couple times about this, and I'm not cleaning this up anymore. So I said, when we get to your house, I'm going to wait right here. I'm going to park. Go get your grandma. Grandma came out. She said, she did what? She said, you know what? Don't clean that up. She said, can you bring the bus to school tomorrow for recess? I'm getting ready to go call the principal. I want her, instead of going to recess, I want her to clean your bus. I was like, yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Right.
Teaching
And
her
she did that
responsibility.
in front of all the other kids. And so then I showed up, principal called me. She's like, hey, I talked to such and such. Can you bring the bus tomorrow? She said, yep. She said, I'll have the janitor come out with the supplies and a mop bucket. Let her clean your bus. I said, cool. From that point on, that bus stayed clean, and that girl made sure that it stayed clean because she was like, look, I'm not cleaning this bus. Y'all don't want to do it. I'm telling you. Just that little connection went a long way for the rest of the year because her granddaughter ended up being the example, but then helped to reinforce that example. And that's an example of on the discipline side. But as you said, there's also instances of, I want to tell you that your child is doing great.
Can I give you an example, Brother
Mhm.
Cameron? And this is a true story.
Mm-hmm.
So 2018, I'm working at a school, and when I first get to this school, I meet this fifth grader, but in fourth grade, he was suspended over 20 times, Brother Cameron, as a fourth grader.
Mm-hmm.
He had a IEP.
Mm-hmm.
However, the young brother is intelligent. And so when I first met him, the way that your viewers are seeing me dressed right now,
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Mark, when we worked in the school building together, did I dress like this?
Every day,
Every day.
even on jean days.
I was still dressed like this.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started building a rapport with this young brother. And even when he would curse me out, I would pull him to the side. And one specific I don't work for the school anymore, so I can tell the conversation that I had. So he cursed me out one time, and I pulled him to the side, and I told him, I said, man, I have children your age.
Mm-hmm.
I say, man, you curse at me like that again, you go meet one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, he saw me as, he's serious. He's not just another teacher.
Mm-hmm.
So every single day, I would just pour into him, call him good names. I would say, man, how you doing?
Mhm.
Mighty,
Mhm.
and say his name. I would put Mighty in front of his name. I
Mhm.
would put King in front of his
Mhm.
name. Through the course of the year, this school wore uniform. This young brother started wearing a suit.
Okay.
I don't know where he got the suit from because the suit was most certainly too big.
Mm-hmm.
Did not necessarily fit him well.
Mm-hmm.
But he wanted to reflect what he was seeing. And it came from a person that was just pouring into him with love. So the school would penalize him for trying to come to school with a suit on
Mm-hmm.
and not the school's uniform. Fast forward, this young brother started advocating for himself. He negotiated with the principal, Brother Cameron, that if my grades get better, he asked the question, can I please wear a suit on Friday? Now, this is the young brother who was suspended 20 plus times the previous year. In the present year, his grades weren't good. Once they succumbed to his negotiations and they agreed up on it, this young brother went from having all D's and F's to straight B's.
Mm-hmm.
B is in ball.
Mm-hmm.
So this school, they would have an assembly and they would invite the community just to acknowledge these students that they were calling leaders, and they would give these leaders a specific jacket to stand out.
Mm-hmm.
So Brother Cameron, him not knowing, me not knowing either,
Mm-hmm.
one of the last names they called was his name, and they had a leader jacket for him.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know the community gave this young man literally a 2-minute standing ovation?
Wow.
I had to walk out the gymnasium because I started crying, Brother Cameron. I'm
Mhm.
getting emotional as we talking about it.
Mhm.
But that's just an example of how a man, I'm not his father,
Mhm.
a man can change the trajectory of a student, whether
Mhm.
male or female.
Mhm.
And to this day, actually, just 2 nights ago, I spoke to this young man
Mhm.
because last weekend
Mhm.
he went to visit one of my sons on their college campus.
Mhm.
So he's still in my life to
Mhm.
this day. But it all came from just striving to be a man involved in his life to, interfere where I knew potential was lying dormant and just trying to make that potential kinetic energy.
And those are so important because one, I can say for me, I think I had, as far as male teachers, let alone black teachers, I think I had before high school, I had one male teacher, Mr.
Mm,
Smith, in 7th grade. High school, I had Mr. Claiborne, the first black male teacher I ever had.
mm,
And then, there's a sprinkle, a little bit more once you get into high school. But those connections that you made are so few and far between
mm.
because you don't know what they have
Right.
going on at
Yeah,
home
yeah.
Right.
and what's lacking. And sometimes just that person to see them, they need something. I am a true believer, and you don't necessarily um, know what you can be unless you see it.
That's right.
Absolutely.
That's
You have to
right.
see yourself doing something or see somebody that looks like you doing it to know, okay, I can do that too. And
Mhm.
just like you had that student, I had a student on my bus who gave me all kinds of trouble at the beginning of the year. By the end of the year, the school asked them to write who's your most influential person that you see at school. He picked me.
There you go.
Mm.
And first of all, that just melted me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I can't read. Then he wrote the thing, but it was a consistency. He wrote something about that he knew that I cared about him
Yes.
because I would pull him to the side when other people, it's real. And as a principal, I know sometimes it's like, look, I can't deal with this. Just go down,
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
handle
Yes.
that for me. I can't. But I knew that that wouldn't help him. So I would pull him to the side for a conversation. Once everybody got off, let me talk to you real quick.
Yes, sir.
Like, because I could just keep adding you to the list of people who, bro, you are getting on my nerves and I don't want to deal with you anymore.
Right.
But that's not going to help you. So I would, just talk to him and have conversations with him. But that little connection let him know that I just didn't want to see you in trouble. I want you to not be in trouble. I want you to go home and have a good weekend. But it's really just based off some of the decisions that you are making.
That's right. Yes, sir.
So that just having that male presence
Yes.
again
Mhm.
makes a big difference for these kids.
Yes, sir. I agree.
We're just about
100%.
out of time. But one thing that I know you guys talk about in these different sessions and these workshops, as you said, is how to guide them. We talked a lot about discipline here today,
Mhm.
but guiding them in their career. You've got yours in college right now, and they, for the most part, pretty much know what path they want to go on to.
Yes, sir.
But now, right now, as a dad of a 1-year-old, I'm thinking, what is he gonna be? How do I steer him? Do I steer him to? I own a company, so
Yes,
people are
sir.
like, is he gonna be our boss one day? Is he gonna take over? And it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know. This because we've all heard the stories of like, I ended up taking over the family business, but I didn't really want to.
Right. Squander
And yeah, and I don't want you to mess it up just because I said take it. I also don't want you to just sell it for pennies
Yeah.
either.
Yes.
But do I want him to follow my footsteps and be in broadcasting and in radio or in TV or, you know, how do you? So I mean, right now I'm just guiding you to. I want you to learn your ABCs, and so
Yeah,
when you
yeah,
go to
yes, sir.
kindergarten,
Yes, sir.
you're not hearing it for the first time. But that too is part of the conversation that you guys are having.
Mhm.
How do you steer that conversation? Do you let them start it? Do you guide them? What'd you guys do?
See, I love this because Cameron, Brother Thomas, you know this challenged my thinking for a long time on, let your son, your daughter just be whatever they want to be.
Mm-hmm.
And that was good up until my son said he wanted to be a WWE wrestler.
Okay.
And that's when I stepped in.
Okay.
And the one thing I said is I know him well. I know the world that he's going into very well also. And I know my own personal experience. And what I began to do was expose him, surround him with the things that he would need.
And how old was this? Was he?
He was about in the 7th grade.
Okay.
And so I knew you've got to be very good, son, at speaking in public. So I gave him multiple opportunities, I would find workshops on public speaking,
And this is if
young
he wants to
leaders.
be a wrestler.
This is, I put the kibosh on the wrestling.
Okay.
Now we're guiding you into entrepreneurship, sports agent, something that you have a passion for sports, but I need you to really go down the path of let's use your love for sports and let's use some abilities that I'm going to equip you with to go into that particular field. If you turn out to be a wrestler, okay, but I'm going to try to guide you and give you the tools to show you can be an outstanding sports agent. So whether it was books, programs that were within the community, I methodically continued to just guide him and expose him to those fields, the skills you need to be, a good sports agent, a good sports scout. And that's something that I encourage parents, I encourage fathers to do early is identify, your kid, begin to identify where you want them to go. You're in an outstanding field that has been a blessing to you, Cameron and Brother Thomas. Guide them towards that path. And usually our kids exceed us.
Yeah.
And so I have no problems with my son exceeding the success that I've had in life. But in the 7th grade, it was constant exposure to the different skills I thought he would need to become successful, in the field that ultimately I hope he goes into.
Mm-hmm.
But he will be well equipped with what he needs to know to be successful with that. Organizational skills. My wife did a lot with him with money management. We talked about credit, owning property, and just the things that we felt it was important for him to know from 7th grade, 8th grade, going into his senior year, because now that he's on campus, he has to tap into all the things that we've, shown him because we're not there in his presence. But we really thought about what do we want KJ, ultimately to become, and then what does he need to do it? And then I'll close with this. We do it in sports. So a kid starts playing basketball, and if he scores 4 points in a 4-year-old youth basketball league and the team has 6 points, he's going to be the next LeBron James.
Mm-hmm.
So we get trainers, we get sports performance coaches. We position them to become the best basketball player in the city, state, county. We need to do that when it comes to just them being a great person and also being directing them towards, whatever field or industry. As a school principal, there are a number of cultures, and I understand this, where Mr. Mark, my son, is going to be a doctor. Can you help him? Can you make sure he gets the right classes? My daughter is going to be an attorney. Can we make sure that she gets presentation skills in school? And so I have changed my thinking to where, I'm not just going to let my kid become whatever he or she wants to become, but I'm absolutely, going to guide them into a direction to make sure, they have the things that they need.
Fellas, we're out of time. Reminder for trying to find where my clip is of the screen tonight. I got the wrong one pulled up, so I'm not going to click that. But hang on, I might have it. Let me see. Do I have it? I have it. There it is.
I was going to do my DJ Gina.
Tonight. There you go. Tonight.
It's from 6:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the AMP 1220 Waterway Boulevard in Indianapolis, Indiana. We will be having our back to school men's event, getting mentally, the first 3 letters, all caps, mentally prepared to help our children, help our students succeed. Myself and Mr. Mark Keelan will be looking forward to seeing you. And if you're happen to be in a position where you're unable to be in tonight's event, but yet you are connected to a school, please reach out to us via our information that Brother Cameron is bringing up on camera right now. And we have the DADS program that we are offering to all schools, not just locally, but also regionally, because we want to do our part as being agents of change, of shifting the paradigm within the educational system. You have anything to add, Mr. Mark?
You nailed it. I appreciate you, brother. I appreciate this opportunity, Cameron, just to share um, what we're passionate about, putting the education piece aside. I'm a father. All of us are fathers here. And we not only, and I appreciate this, we not only want the best for our kids, we want the best for those young people out there and for those fathers out there as well. So please come out tonight to the AMP at 6:30 p.m. and absolutely reach out to us. We'd love to have this same conversation in the DAS program in your school.
All right. Thank you, fellows. I enjoyed this conversation. I think we could talk, and we'll have to, we'll come back. We'll do another show and
Yes,
continue
sir.
this conversation because there's just so many things and pieces to this that we could talk about.
Yes, sir.
All right. Conversation continues tonight. And again, if you've got a school, organization, Boys and Girls Club, whatever it is, Dad's Club, Country Club, call these gentlemen so you guys can continue the conversation at your place. That's going to do it for this edition of Fox 59 tonight. I'm Cameron Riddle. Join me on Sunday mornings for my show Open Lines on 106.7 WTLC and Hot 100.9, where we have more conversations like this, and you too get to be part of the conversation. Until then, this has been Fox 59 Tonight. Good night.